want to start a supplement company, then what are the things you need to prepare legally to bring the products into the market? Hi, I'm Tam from G.O.L, and I've had over a decade helping brands going into their dream markets like the US, Canada, and South Asia by helping them navigating the laws and logistics aspect of their business. In this video, I'll show you the comprehensive requirements you need to start your supplement brand in the US. Now, the first thing you definitely need if you are bringing products from overseas, either your raw materials or the final package products, is you're gonna need an import on record. Now, this is something that you need to clarify with your suppliers, that who is going to be the importer on record. You have two options. Usually if the Incoterm or the shipping terms that the supplier is giving you is DDP, that means that they will handle everything from start to the end delivery of your buyers, then they will be the importer on record of the shipments. If you have an LLC and you would like to have your own company as the importer on record, then you will need to fulfill the importer license applications and bonds requirements to be an importer on record. So the first step to start shipping or getting your products right is to define who is the importer on record. And based on that party will have to get all the paperwork. This is on the screen for a US importer on record. Okay, so if you decide to be the importer on record, what do you need? Number one, you need to have DUNS. This is your unique verifications numbers that will be used across your bond and US importer informations. It is issued by DUNS, DNB, and you can register this directly on their website for free. The second thing you need is a US importer ID, a US custom bond and ISF bond if you want to bring this product in through sea freight. There are two kinds of bonds that you need to consider. One is a single entry bond for each of the shipments that you bring the products in, and the second type is the continuous bond, valid for a year, and you can bring as many shipments in within that time frame as long as it below the shipment value threshold for each bond. So for example, one US custom bond value at $50,000 means that in 1 year, you can bring a maximum of $50,000 of shipments value into the US. So what if you want to import more? Very simple, you buy more US custom bond. For this importer on record setup, you will able to satisfy the CBP requirements of bringing products from overseas into the US. Now, the second thing you need to do, because this is a supplements product, your product needs to be FDA compliant. So what does that mean to be FDA compliant? Number one, you need to work with a manufacturer that is GMP certified, and they also are registered on the FDA database. The second thing that I think most of the brands miss is make sure that your product labels and your advertising materials are compliant with the FDA advertising and supplements labeling rules. You don't want to be considered as misbranded, misguided, especially when it comes to importing supplements, because it can result in your product being returned, destroyed, or held at importations. For supplement product labels, you will definitely need to make sure it is compliant with the US labeling rule. Now, normally if you work with a manufacturer, they would say that they will take care of that part for you, make sure that the product label is compliant. However, from my experience working with brands and manufacturers, you need to ask them if they have used a FDA agency to do their label designs. If they haven't used anyone yet, my advice is to engage a third-party label review consultant to make sure that your product is compliant. Because oftentimes the do your own research design are not compliant with the full rules. The second thing that is so important is that do not use the term FDA approved on your product. Okay, FDA approved is not for supplements. That is a term used for medical device, drugs that are more heavily regulated. But for supplements, the FDA do not approve or regulate the supplements by requiring pre-market approval. So that is why using that FDA approved term is not accurate. My suggestion for you is actually use term like FDA registered facility, which is a accurate term to describe your facility and products. One crucial thing that I think you should be very careful of is to make sure that the advertising materials, meaning your website, your ads, your videos content, influencer contents, are also compliant with the advertising rules by the FDA. These are the regulations that is heavily regulated by platforms like Meta or TikTok. And if you violate these rules, then you cannot run ads on these content. Now, I don't want you to spend a bunch of money on influencers and then end up not able to use these materials. So one pro tip is actually to create a influence guide and instruction them on how to advertise for supplement products. As a bonus for you who making this far into the video, I'm giving you a free brand guide template that you can use to guide your influencers on how to market and sell your product right. This guide will include the do and don'ts and the real examples of what is an accurate supplements advertisement claims, the do and don'ts of how to advertise supplements products on social medias. This will be extremely helpful when you're engaging with influencers, especially small ones who hasn't have experience promoting these kind of products. The last thing you need to be FDA compliant is FSVP importer. Now, as importer on record, you also need to have an FSVP importer on record. And these two importer on record can be two separate entity. So this is where it's very confusing for brands who bring their products in for the first time. And it is very important as an importer to be compliant with the FSVP rules because more than 50% of US importers actually fail FDA inspections when it comes to FSVP. I have another video sharing exactly what is FSVP plan and what are requirements for US importer, and I'll link it in the description. The scenario A is that your supplier is the importer on record. If they are saying they are handling from A to Z, from creating the products to shipping it to the end consumer, ask them if they know about FSVP and they have an FSVP in place for your specific products. If they don't know what it is, then you can ask them to start this process. The second scenario is that you are the importer on record, and that means you need to develop an FSVP plan. This can be done directly by yourself by going through the FSVP training courses and then develop a plan directly yourself, or you can authorize to an FDA agency like us to handle this from end to end for you. Complying with FSVP is very important because supplements is actually one of the most regulated products going into the US. And if you are missing any of these paperwork, your products will be held at port and causing a lot of delays. One last thing to remember is that if you are shipping to a fulfillment center that will handle your order from Shopify, from Amazon, or if you're going through the fulfillment by merchants route, then please make sure that your 3PL is a registered facility. Now, why do I say that? Because I've encountered a case where basically the 3PLs, and they were so small that their fulfillment center is actually somebody's storage. There is no registered facility, there's no DUNS to verify, and their products get held at the port. But if you are from overseas or you never have engaged with 3PLs before, you would never thought to check on these things. So definitely check if your 3PL has a registered facilities in the US. And you can verify that by asking for the DUNS number of the entity. A burning question when you're starting a supplements brand is to consider if you want to create a made in USA supplement brand or still manufacturing it from overseas. I think there will be a few considerations for you here. If you want to make a made in USA supplements, you still need to import your raw materials from overseas. And if it's coming from multiple countries, then you need to make sure that you calculate all the tariff rate for each of these countries into your costs. Another factor you should consider is that the manufacturing cost in the USA is also high. So that means you need to spend more to create a premium brand that people are willing to pay for. The second option is to manufacturing your products overseas. Now, besides China, where else can you go to create a supplement brand? My recommendations is to look into manufacturers in Korea, in Malaysia, in Thailand, or Vietnam. These countries are also very experienced in creating great products. They have great source of natural ingredients that can bring it into your products, and the tariffs from these countries will still be significantly lower than making the products made in China. There are plenty of videos out there sharing about how to find suppliers in China. So then how about all these suppliers? How do you find suppliers that not from China? My recommendations is to actually book a flight to one of the trade shows in these countries. And you can do that by simply search supplements or food trade shows or cosmetic trade show, because usually supplements be exhibiting in food or cosmetic. So look up food, supplements, or cosmetic trade show, plus the countries that you want to check out, plus the year that you want to visit. Usually trade shows schedule are set 1 year ahead so that you can plan your traveling. Definitely get out there, try to see as many suppliers as possible. There's nothing beat seeing and touching and feeling all these sample products before deciding on who you want to work with. This goes the same for any countries. You should be there. So trade shows that I recommend you to go is TIFAX or SFA, because in these shows, not only you can find manufacturers in Thailand or Singapore, but actually manufacturers from all around the world will come to these shows and showcase their products. So you'll find a lot of innovations, new ingredients that can be great to bring into your supplement products. So how we help brands going into their dream market is by being the one-stop compliance solution providers that help you understand and navigate all the legal requirements you need to bring your product into the US as well as other markets. As you can see, to legally bring your product into a country, you need to make sure that you are compliant, not just one agency, but a few agencies, depends on how your product is created and built from. We've helped over 500 businesses to navigate these rules seamlessly so that you can focus on the marketing, the sales, and getting that money in your bank account. If you don't want to think about compliance in your day-to-day work, then you can definitely leave it to us to handle for you. To start working with us, we can start with a one-on-one consultations on what is the compliance roadmap for your specific products. You can leave your information, your contact details, and what is the product that you are working on so that we can start helping you from the R&D phase. Thank you for watching this video.